Bombs. So we're mailing bombs now. This week, surprising to almost nobody, our nation's current adversarial partisan attitudes once more came to a head. Beginning on Monday and continuing through the days that followed, 10 packages containing potentially explosive materials were intercepted in transit to perceived members of the left. Much like the congressional baseball shooting of 2017, this instantly became a partisan issue. As it well should be, despite the insistence of many on the right looking to distance themselves from this attempted violence. An attempt on the life of a politician is always, by its very nature, political, but an attempt on 10 members of a specifically perceived political group? We're not stupid. This act is wholly unprecedented. An attempt on the life of not one but 2 past presidents would on its own be enough, but this was 10 political figures with similar value systems targeted. If they weren't public figures, this would be clearly labeled as a hate crime. One has to ask, what is our current president's take on this? I just want to tell you that in these times, we have to unify, he says. We have to come together and send one clear and strong message that acts or threats or political violence have no place in the United States of America. Unity. Yeah. So who are the targets of this attack again? Let's run that back. Maxine Waters, millennial darling, dubbed Auntie Maxine by her young following, is a noted critic of the Donald, often going viral for her quotes in which she takes on Donald Trump with his own vigor and tenacity. For her part, she stayed on brand despite the threat, stated, "I ain't scared," when pressed about the attempted bombing. Who else? Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. 3 of the Donald's favorite verbal punching bags, names always on the tip of his tongue, but curiously absent from his statement on the explosive threat that specifically targeted them. To paraphrase Dan Pfeiffer, it's difficult to take the president's call for unity seriously, being that he joyously claps at crowds chanting "lock her up," and often claimed that our 44th president to be the founder of ISIS, and even went so far as to say that Biden would go down fast and hard in a fight, crying all the way. I'm not the first to make an association between Trump's rhetoric and this fiasco. Obviously, the connection is unavoidable. The man who stoked this fire now says that by and large, fire is bad, and that he's been saying this for years. The man who riled up the angry mob is now whispering behind their back that violence is unacceptable. Whisper, because when he calls for unity even now, he's not speaking to his base. He is speaking to the left in hopes that his part in this will be minimized. But we can't let it be. Because he says political violence has no place in the United States of America, but just last week, our president praised Montana Republican Greg Gianforte for his body slamming a reporter for the crime of asking him a question. Any guy who can do a body slam, that's my guy. Because despite his call for unity, Trump is still blaming the media or fake news for this attack, despite the fact that one of the targets was CNN, another common target for his ire. A very big part of the anger we see today in our society is caused by the purposely false and inaccurate reporting of the mainstream media that I refer to as fake news. That's boss level victim blaming. We can't let the president guide this conversation when it was his rhetoric that got us to this point. Every attempted victim of this attack falls cleanly in line with Trump's list of enemies, people he has vilified publicly. To ignore that in any conversation about the attack is dishonest. Until we recognize the impact that violent rhetoric, whether intended literally or not, from the most powerful office in the land has on that office's devotees, we cannot move past these instances of political violence. Trump's core base is cult-like in its veneration of his leader's word. We cannot be surprised when they act on it. As always, I'm Samantha Singh. Thank you for watching Prompt, and be sure to subscribe so that you can get updates on our newest content. If you're tired of Trump and the MAGA base treating us as stupid as they are, then make sure you get out there November 6th and make your voice heard. It is our last time to do so before 2020.
So remember when Donald Trump was elected and we were all like, well, this can't get any weirder. Yeah, it got weirder. Members of QAnon flooded a rally in Tampa recently. QAnon, the conspiracy theorists who are here to, well, we're not really sure why they're here, but their growing numbers and odd actions are extremely alarming. So how did QAnon start? There are message boards on the internet where people can anonymously post about anything. The 2 most widely used are 4chan and 8chan. Over a year ago, an anonymous user known as Q, claimed to be a top government official, began posting top secret clues on the message boards, because why wouldn't a top level government official use the dark web to communicate with people? So Q posts clues for his followers to decipher, and here are some of the things QAnon believes. High-level Democratic officials, such as John Podesta and Hillary Clinton, are secretly involved in a complex crime network involving human trafficking, child sex abuse, and murder. Podesta and Clinton run a child sex ring out of the basement of a pizza shop in DC. Hashtag Pizzagate. The October 1st massacre in Vegas was actually caused by evil global elites. The children attacked in the Parkland school shootings are crisis actors, placed there to script the narrative for the evil agenda. David Hogg, one of those crisis actors, has ties to Podesta and CNN. And finally, Donald Trump Trump is a great savior who is secretly squashing all of these evils in what is referred to as the Great Awakening. So why aren't all these people in jail? According to QAnon, they've actually already been arrested and charged in an underground court, and while awaiting sentencing, they're allowed to walk around free, but some, like Hillary Clinton and John McCain, they have to wear ankle bracelets to track their movements, hence why they both wear pants. I guess that $1 trillion deficit makes it a little hard for the US government to spring for a more subtle monitor. I know, this all sounds crazy, and it could make for a really fascinating movie, so why should you give it a second thought? In June, a QAnon supporter drove an armored truck stocked with guns to the Hoover Dam on a mission from Q, demanding that the Justice Department release the real report about Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server. Recently, an armed man showed up at Stormy Daniels' attorney's office after Q posted a link with the address of the attorney's office. A 28-year-old man recently fired off rounds from his rifle in a pizza shop that he claimed was part of the child sex ring conspiracy. You notice a common theme here? Hillary Clinton and Democrats are all evil child molesters, and school shootings have nothing to do with the Second Amendment, but everything to do with the liberal elite. When we think of conspiracy theorists, we usually think of a crazy uncle living in the woods with a tinfoil hat on. But the people of QAnon aren't crazy outliers. They're primarily white American Republicans. Even some celebrities have gotten on board, like Roseanne Barr. Sure, she's cuckoo-cuckoo, but she does have a large influence over a large portion of the country. At the end of the day, people across America, they believe crazy shit all the time. But the problem here is that the Republican Party won't call them out about it, because they don't want to lose their votes. They don't care about democracy, they don't care about safety, they don't care about you, and they don't care about me. Power and money, man. Power and money. Keep yourself informed, and be sure to subscribe to Prompt News.
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
So I know y'all think that black people love talking about racism, and it's not because it keeps our teeth white. Truth is, people of color face a much different reality than white people, and that's especially true when encountering the Republican-designed criminal justice system. I'm Kareem, and do Republicans hate black people? Let's take a look at a particularly bad to be black state, Florida. Even though African Americans make up only 16% of Floridians, they're incarcerated at a rate that's 400% higher than their white counterparts. That's right, Richard Corcoran, Speaker of the Florida House and Florida Governor Rick Scott. Until y'all fix all that racist mess y'all got going on down there in Florida, neither of you will be invited to the cookout on Sundays. It's incredibly difficult for folks to get their voting rights restored upon their release from prison. The Florida legislature, yes, the same body of folks that voted in favor of the Stand Your Ground law that let George Zimmerman get away with murdering Trayvon Martin. In their 2018 budget, there was a $9.1 million or 40% reduction in mental health treatment, a $1.6 million cut from transitional housing services, $7.6 million cut from substance abuse services, $6 million from therapeutic treatment, and $2.3 million cut from re-entry centers that provide basic education. So basically, locking us up isn't enough. You gotta throw away the key to make sure we never get out, and then take away any available resources so that rehabilitation remains a myth. Thanks. But let's not beat up Florida too bad, y'all. I mean, Florida did give us T-Pain, Pitbull, and my personal favorite, Plies, baby. I kind of understand what Chameleonaire was talking about when he said, "Police trying to catch me riding dirty." As this chart shows, police are 3 times as likely to search the cars of stopped black drivers than stopped white drivers. Nationally, black drivers are also more likely to be pulled over and less likely to receive a reason for being stopped. In one Rhode Island study, black drivers were stopped more even though they were less likely to receive a citation, meaning they're stopped for no reason. Yes, people, driving while black is a real thing. The crazy part about it is that being rich, famous, or even an innocent grandma won't stop you from being pulled over and getting your ass beat as the police drag you out your own car. Just ask 65-year-old Mrs. Rose Campbell. Maybe the solution is if all black people just took more public transportation, right? Good Lord, I wish it were that easy. Cause that's not the only problem we've got, y'all. Let's talk about drugs. So police arrest black Americans for drug crimes at twice the rate of whites. Okay, and before you spew out one of your racist little, "well, black people just do more crime" comments, let me make this very clear. According to federal data, meaning data obtained from your national government, studies have found that whites use drugs at comparable rates and sell drugs at even higher rates than blacks. So how does this make any sense, y'all? White people literally make up over 75% of this country, but somehow black folks are the ones who are overpopulating the prisons? Well, in order to make sense of this, I'm gonna have to give you a brief history lesson. Okay, so once upon a time in the early 1980s, poor people wanted to get high off cocaine just like rich people, but they couldn't afford the high price that came with it. Poor folks discovered that if you mix cocaine with baking soda, add a little water, heat it up. I mean, I don't know the exact recipe, I'm just taking an educated guess here. But if you mix cocaine with other white substances, then you'll have much more drugs drugs for a drastically cheaper price. Thus, crack was born. And while crack and powdered cocaine are made up of the same exact base drug, people who were arrested for crack possession who happened to be black and happened to be poor faced far harsher penalties than white people who were arrested for powdered cocaine possession. While a black person found with only 5 grams of crack cocaine faced a 5-year mandatory minimum prison sentence, a white person holding powdered cocaine could receive the same sentence only if he or she held 500 grams. 500, y'all! I mean, good Lord! In 1995, the US Sentencing Commission concluded that the disparity created a racial imbalance in federal prisons and led to more severe sentences for low-level crack dealers than for wholesale suppliers of powdered cocaine. As a result, thousands of people, mostly African Americans, have received disproportionately harsh prison sentences. The Fair Sentencing Act of 2010 was an act of Congress that was signed into federal law by US President Barack Obama that reduced the disparity between the amount of crack cocaine and powder cocaine needed to trigger certain federal criminal penalties, and it also eliminated the 5-year mandatory minimum sentence for simple possession of crack cocaine, among other provisions. And here's the main point. Republicans have fought reform on all these issues, every single one, every step of the way. Want to know who sponsored the Fair Sentencing Act? 16 Democrats to just 6 Republicans. Look, people, racism is a real thing, and just like y'all might be tired of us black folk talking about it, we're tired of living it. So since we're all tired, let's just go take a nap, and when we wake up, everything's gonna be all peachy clean and rosy and nice. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. Don't go to sleep, y'all. Stay woke and stand up, because like my friend Donald Glover or Childish Gambino says, this is America. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe, and remind your friends that things are up, y'all. Thanks for watching.